Good afternoon. Я вас вітаю, shalom and welcome. I hope you can hear me well. Today is my live stream about immigration, relocation, and this is one of my favorite topics to work with as a decision-making coach. And while talking about specifics of where exactly to move, what state or country or town to choose is very individual and differ from client to client. Deciding on how to move and some tips about moving and some tips about buying a house are pretty similar for everyone, and I want to share those things that are similar, and I hope it will be helpful for you in case you're moving. So first of all, I want to tell that if you still have any doubts and you're not sure that you want to work with a coach about it, I just recommend you to see a couple of my videos. It's video number 18 that is called Where to Move and How to Find a Best State, and video 20 that is called Where Should You Live? It's about immigration and how to choose your country or your state or your town of living. And also I have a video about like how to rent in case you are a first-time renter. It's video number 43. But today we're talking about moving and about buying houses. And this is a very exciting thing. I worked with clients that were moving, changing states, buying houses, and we had very, very interesting coaching together and very interesting process. And I was really, really honored and inspired being part of their journey. And I personally also moved a couple of times in United States, and I moved a couple of times inside Israel when I lived there. While moving inside Israel is not a big deal because it's not a big country, moving in United States was a big deal because I was moving from West Coast to East Coast. And then after a couple of years, based on number of circumstances and events, we decided that we want to adjust the place of living on the East Coast. And it also was a pretty big move. Of course, it can be compared to cross-country move when you move from coast to coast, but still it was a big move. So I personally understand that moving is a big process, is a costly process, and can be stressful at some points. So based on my personal and professional experience with moving, I want to share with you some tips that I really hope can make your process of moving a little more smooth and effective. So first of all, what I want to say, of course, I will not be telling about specific techniques of how to pack your stuff and how to organize and how to label things. But definitely, I recommend to label all the boxes and to write all the names and categories and find your system that works for you. But this video is not about this, so I will not go too deep on those details. But what I do want to recommend is start decluttering as soon as you think that there is a high probability you will be moving. So if you even don't know yet that you will be moving, you don't know what state and you don't know when exactly you will be moving, in the moment when you start those talks and you see that like it's moving to this direction and you have a feeling that, yeah, probably we will be moving, and when you have a pretty high probability of moving, it's already a good time to start decluttering. Even if you will not end up moving, you will be grateful to yourself that you decluttered things that you don't need. In general, I recommend everyone to declutter from time to time. It's really, really good for your house, both like practically and like in everyday living, and also energetically it's good. It's really, really good to declutter, but especially before you move, as soon as possible, start decluttering things. You don't want to procrastinate with it and deal with all this when you like really need to pack and to move in the last months before moving. Also, if you know that you will be moving, pack things in the end of the season. What I mean that if you're if you're planning to move somewhere in the summer, for example, after you finished all your New Year or Christmas or Hanukkah celebrations, you can already pack all those things in a way that you will be moving it with your mover. So if you're packing, for example, something in the garbage bags and you think that it's too fragile to move it like this, so in the end of the season, already pack it in boxes, and again, throw away the things you think you don't want to move with you. Same about clothing. In the end of season, you ended the winter season, fine. Pack everything that is related to winter, that it will be already packed, and you will not need to pack it, for example, in summer when you're packing other things. So all things that are not necessary, not in use anymore, and you know that you will be using them again only after the move, start packing them as soon as you can. Those are two very easy but really helping tips, and I want to focus on this for a moment because when we are packed more or less, it reduces from the stresses of the last months of moving. And I need to say, in my personal experience, for example, last time when we were moving from Massachusetts, unfortunately, I got sick a few times before we were moving, and it really was harming the process of packing. So it's so good that some winter clothing I already packed in advance, and some other things I packed in advance because I, of course, didn't expect it to feel bad or to be sick or something. But it was really, really big help for me that I already packed part of my things. Also, last time when we moved, my husband didn't got vacation days, and it was like really tough. Because of this, thanks God, our friends, good friends, came and helped us to pack some last things in some last days. But in general, yeah, as soon as you can pack things in advance, do it. Talking about moving companies, I want to tell that it's very important to hire directly the companies that will be moving you. Do not use any moving agents, any intermediary companies. There's very, very high percentage of fraud there. And I remember when we just moved to United States, the first time we moved from Washington State to Massachusetts. So we were moving not because of jobs, but because we decided to move. So there was a problem with this, that we needed to pay for things like personally, and when we were not very aware of how to move in the best way, and we didn't had lots of friends who moved from state to state at that point. So we had some unpleasant experience with this moving agency company that is kind of intermediary process between moving companies and the clients. So avoid those companies, and I know other people that had like unpleasant experience with them, so be aware of it. If you want to move on a more affordable side, I would recommend the companies that are container companies, like U-Haul, Pods, and I wrote here a few more. There's also U-Pack, Pack-Red, Units, and many, many other companies. We personally used U-Haul because of the size of containers that works for us best, and also the price is pretty affordable. Pods, for example, were more expensive, but depends again on the size, because their containers are bigger, and there are some nuances you will need to figure out. But in basic, like, main advice I want to tell, that if you are moving from one side to another, one state from another state, really pay attention to container movers. Those companies are big, they're reliable, they have warehouses all over the United States and Canada. And also, if you need to store your things, these things like your belongings will be stored inside the container itself, which is very, very convenient and comfortable to do. So no one will touch your things, no one will like unpack and store it in some storage unit or something. It will be all stored inside the containers, and I really like this idea, especially in case when you will be renting for short term and then buying. I will talk about it in a minute. If you're moving and you have more finances for your move, or your company is paying for your move and you're relocating because of your job, so there are some cross-country moving companies that can be really helpful, in a meaning that they will come to your home, pack everything, put in their big van, take all the stuff, and then bring it to you and unpack wherever you need it. They will disassemble your furniture. They will do all the job. I know that they have some storage options, but actually I didn't use it, and I don't remember if my clients used it in the past, so I don't want to mislead you here. But basically know that there are cross-country moving companies. Probably the largest and most known of them is Allied Van Lines. If you live in the United States, and I'm telling you the name, Aligned One Lines, and they have orange big trucks, you will see, since you know the name, you will pay attention, you will see those trucks on the road. This is a really known company, big, reliable, but expensive. So in most of cases, you will use this company or similar companies like International Van Lines, Mayflower Transit, and many others companies, but be sure that you're using the moving company directly, and this is a real company and not the agency that is doing like this intermediary work. It's very important because it can be really, really problematic. And not only my negative experience, I also met a lot of people that had also a pretty negative experience with those companies. So keep it in mind. So there are two main options, or the container movers. You can write in Google search container movers, and you will see what container movers you have in your state. And there are some that have like, for example, your house, they have small containers, and it's really easy to manage like the amount of containers you need to move. Pods have bigger containers, so maybe one container will be not enough for you, but two containers will be too big for you. For example, this is the problem that we had. That's why we didn't pick pods at some point when we were moving. So this is what I wanted to tell about movers. So you have containers and you have cross-country moving companies. And you will need this cross-country moving companies, even if you're not moving like literally cross-country like we did when we moved from Washington State to Massachusetts at one point of our lives. But even if you're moving from state to state, there are also movers inside the state. For example, if now I will decide to buy a new house, and this house will be, for example, 1 hour drive from my current house, I will just hire a local company that will pack everything, put in the truck, and unload it in my new location. But when you're moving from state to state, it's different, and you will need to search for cross-country moving companies that are doing like long distance. And today, one more topic I wanted to discuss is buying a house. So many of my clients and me personally, when we moved, we sold our houses where we lived, and we wanted to buy new houses to places where we moved. From what I heard and from what I saw, the efforts of my clients, of my friends that were moving from state to state, I learned through those experiences and years that it's pretty tricky to find a house on like FaceTime or remotely, wherever you will call it. I know I had some clients that did it in the past, and I met some people that I was very interested to ask their opinion, and I talked to agents. And long story short, there are two main issues with buying houses on distance, like through FaceTime or pictures or remote agent or wherever. You got the point. So two main issues is there were few cases when houses had major structural problems, and they were pretty visible for my clients that bought those houses. And they told me that when they bought the houses, they saw it when they entered. So they learned from their previous experience. In one case, my client didn't listen to my advice and also bought a house, and there were some issues that were visible when they entered the house. But they were like really, really wanting to buy a house immediately, so it was very important for them. They understood that this is their priority, and this was the price for this priority. It's also a decision, and it's totally fine. But what I'm trying to say here is that be aware that this has higher probability to have structural problems or other problems that you maybe will not buy this house if you will visit it in person. So keep it in mind. It's important, and it can be really costly. Another thing that happens, this is that people that say this is not how I imagined it. It means that yes, there was an inspection. That inspection didn't miss big problems, and the market was allowing to do an inspection. In the United States, it's not always like that. It depends on the market. Now, market is. I'm filming it in June 2025. Market is more calm than it was, for example, in 2021, 2022, those years. So now market is more like calm, and you probably will be able to schedule an inspector. Also, don't trust inspectors blindly. It's a big another topic that sometimes inspectors do mistakes, and it's better that you will look as closely as you can on a new potential property to avoid not things. And yeah. And be aware that, first of all, it's your interest and not inspectors. Going to a court with inspectors is a big story. Not everyone will do it, and maybe you will not do it also. And also it's hard to prove. So be very much present, aware, and involved in the inspection process as much as you can, as much as your knowledge allows you. So this, one thing that I told you that can be some structural or other like problems with houses, that if you would be present there, you can avoid at least big part of them. And another thing is when people are saying that it's not how I imagine it. So they had an agent or family member or friend that came instead of them and made the tour. They was walking like with the phone and showing like, look, this is how it looks. This is like the room. This is this and this is that. And people had a picture of the house. They like imagined it in a certain way based on videos and photos that they saw. But when they entered the property, the layout, the energy, the vibe, the lights, the ceilings, everything felt different and not always in a good way. So you can understand where I'm going with all this. So my advice, of course, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a realtor. Any of advices I'm giving are legal advice of any sort. But where I'm going with this, based on my experience, personal and professional, I recommend you to avoid buying properties without seeing them, especially if those are not rental investment properties, but the property where you will personally spend your time and live. And that is why I recommend visiting the area. So when I talk about visiting the area, there are two options. One of them is visiting by plane and coming back to where you live, and another one is really moving and staying, renting Airbnb or something for some time. So with visiting the area, like by plane, you come, for example, for a weekend and you come back, it's pretty costly. And another thing that you are very limited, and sometimes good houses are sold in 2 days. I personally had an experience with my last house, like this one, where I'm living now, that I found a house and I wanted to see it. And it was on Tuesday. I remember it very well. It was on Tuesday. I sent it to my agent. My agent was unfortunately busy or something, and she told me that we can see it on Thursday. And the market was not so hot as it is in 2021. It felt pretty fine. So I said, no worries, let's wait till Thursday. And the house was sold on Tuesday evening. So sometimes good houses, really good houses, with like good new kitchens and other good stuff, good location, etc., cannot survive till weekend. So if the house will be put on the market on, I don't know, Wednesday or Thursday, there is a chance that by weekend when you will be arriving, there will be no house to see by then. So keep it in mind. So it's very tricky, and few of my clients tried this approach, and my friends tried this approach. I know that for some of them it did work out, but definitely for some of them it didn't. And another approach is renting before buying. This is what I personally recommend and what I personally did for myself. When it came to moving from one state to another, I did it in both cases. When we moved cross country and when we moved here to South Carolina. So what we did and what I recommend doing from my personal experience is renting an Airbnb because it's fully furnished. You have everything you need to live there. Like blankets and pillows and towels and all the kitchenware and all the stuff. So you will not need to unpack your container, to spend time, energy, and money on unpacking it and then packing it again and taking it to warehouse again or taking it to a new location. So what I did personally, I rented an Airbnb for a couple of months because I knew that even if I buy a house, I need to wait for, if it's not a cash offer especially, I need to wait at least 30 days for the closing. And to find house also takes some time, few months. So I would recommend considering renting at least for 2 months or more with an option to continue, or you can just move to another rental Airbnb in case you didn't find house as soon as you hoped to. But it's pretty convenient. You don't need to unpack. You don't need to pay for additional moving from place to place. You can fully focus on house hunting, search for your house or apartment. And it's very convenient, and having an opportunity to go with an agent on weekends, sometimes on open houses without an agent, see houses, check things we can buy ourselves before we buy and hire inspections is very, very helpful. And I need to say, having experience of buying houses and selling houses of a couple of properties already, sometimes things look so good on Zillow and you have high expectations, and then you come to this house and you see that the photographer deserves the price, the house is not nice at all. Or in some cases, talking about more like alternative spiritual things, sometimes you can enter the house and everything's fine, but you feel that it's not your cup of tea. You just don't feel that the vibe of this house, the energy of this house is something that is good for you, and you just not feeling that it's the right place for you to be. So this is something that you can experience only when you're visiting there. So so it's good, and you don't need to unpack your stuff. You can have it in storage, and it's really helpful and easy to do. So if you had some useful information in this video, please like this video, subscribe to this channel, and I'll be happy to see you in my new live streams. And of course, if you're not sure, you need some help with decision-making processes about where to move, when to move or not to move, I'll be happy to work with you one-on-one. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.